New Lands, by Charles Hoyfort, Part 2, Chapter 29e. In English Mechanic, Volume 74, page 155, David Packer calls attention to a strange meteoric light that was seen in the sky at Worcester during the quake of December 17, 1896. I should say that this was the severest shock felt in the British Isles in the 19th century, with the exception of the shock of April 22, 1884, in the eastern point of the London Triangle. There was something in the sky. In Nature, Volume 55, page 179, J. Lloyd Bosworth writes that, at Worcester, a great light was seen in the sky at the time of the shock, and that, in another town, a great blaze had been seen in the sky. In Simmons' Meteorological Magazine, Volume 31, page 180, are recorded many observations upon lights that were seen in the sky. In an appendix to his book, The Hereford Earthquake of 1896, Dr. Charles Davison says that at the time of the quake, 5:30 a.m., there was a luminous object in the sky, and that it traversed a large part of the disturbed area. He says that it was a meteor, and an extraordinary meteor that lighted up the ground so that one could have picked up a pin. With the data so far considered, almost anyone would think that of course an object had exploded in the sky, shaking the earth underneath. Dr. Davison does not say this. He says that the meteor only happened to appear over part of this earth where an earthquake was occurring by a strange coincidence. Suppose that, with ordinary common sense, he had not logged in his strange coincidence, and had written that of course the shock was concussion from an explosion in the sky. Shocks that had been felt before midnight, December 17th, and at 1:30 or 1:45, 2, 3, 3:30, 4, 5, and 5:20, and then others at 5:40 or 5:45 and at 6:15 o'clock, and were they, too, concussions, but fainter and from remoter explosions in the sky, and why not, if of course the great shock at 5:30 o'clock was from a great explosion in the sky, and by what multiplication of strangeness of coincidence could detonating meteors, or explosions of any other kind, so localize in the one little sky of Worcester, if this earth be a moving earth, and how could their origin be otherwise than a fixed region nearby? In some minds it may be questionable that the earth could be so affected as it was at 5:30 a.m., December 17, 1896, by an explosion in the sky. Upon February 10, 1896, a tremendous explosion occurred in the sky of Madrid. Throughout the city windows were smashed, a wall in the building occupied by the American legation was thrown down. The people of Madrid rushed to the streets, and there was a panic in which many were injured. For 5 hours and a half, a luminous cloud of debris hung over Madrid, and stones fell from the sky. Suppose, just at present, we disregard all the Worcester-Hereford phenomena except those of December 17, 1896. Draw a diagram illustrating a stream of meteors pursuing this earth, now supposed to be rotating and revolving for more than 400,000 miles in its orbit, and curving around gracefully and unerringly after the rotating earth, so as to explode precisely in this little local sky and nowhere else. But we can't think very reasonably even of the flock of birds flying after and so precisely pecking one spot on an apple thrown in the air by somebody. Another diagram, stationary earth. Bombardment of any kind one chooses to think of, same point hit every time, thinkable.